What's up guys, it's Smitty back with another YouTube video. Today we're going to continue analyzing Kevin Durant's career and ranking him all time. If you haven't seen part 1, make sure to watch it. There will be a link in the description and probably a tag on screen for y'all to go watch it. Before we get into this video, it would be awesome if you can check to see if you're subscribed to my YouTube channel. It's completely free, takes about 2 seconds to do, and it really makes my channel grow. Also, if you enjoyed this video, consider liking it. It'll recommend this video to even more people. So if you'd like to help me out, make sure to smash the subscribe and the like button. Thanks guys, I really appreciate the support. Enjoy y'all. "2014 was Kevin Durant's MVP season, a memorable one at that. The Thunder now had rookie Steven Adams, but Westbrook was injured the majority of the season. He only played 46 games due to breaking a bone in his hand and some more knee issues. KD was still able to lead the Thunder to 59 wins, the second best in the league. He averaged 32 points per game, the best in the league, on very good efficiency. These are two things that rarely go hand in hand. In the first round, the Thunder had to face the Memphis Grizzlies again. This series was a nail-biter, going to 7 games. KD averaged 30 points per game over the entire 7-game series. Westbrook averaged 25.5 points per game himself, but the rest of the squad wasn't looking so good. Game 1, KD dropped 33 and led the Thunder to a comfortable win at home. Game 2, KD had 36 points and 11 rebounds, but the Thunder somehow lost to the Grizzlies. Game 3 was a nail-biter. Durant had 30 and 9, and Westbrook had 30 and 13. The Thunder still managed to lose. Sam Presti and the Thunder really did a poor job at building around KD and Russ. It really is a shame. But Game 4, Reggie Jackson went absolutely crazy. He dropped 32 points off the bench and was practically unguardable. If the Thunder lost that game, they probably would have lost the series after going down 3-1. But my guy Reggie showed up. I completely regret throwing shots at Reggie Jackson now. Game 5 was very disappointing. The Thunder lost by 1 point. Westbrook got a game-saving steal at the end of the game and made a fast break layup to send it to overtime. Westbrook had 30 and Durant had 26, but the Thunder still couldn't close the game. Game 6, KD bounced back with 36 points and 10 rebounds, leading the Thunder to tie the series. And in Game 7, the Thunder did not disappoint. KD had 33 and Westbrook with 27. So the Thunder advanced to the second round and faced the LA Clippers. Kevin Durant popped off, averaging 33.2 points per game and 9.5 rebounds. Westbrook also played great, averaging 27.8 points per game. Because of this, the Thunder were able to beat the Clippers in 6 games. In Game 2, KD dropped 32 and 12. Game 3 he dropped 36. Game 4 he dropped 40. And in Game 6, KD closed out the Clippers with 39 points and 16 rebounds. The Thunder advanced to the conference finals against the San Antonio Spurs. Unfortunately, the Spurs simply had more depth than the Thunder. Even though OKC had the 2 best players in the series, the Spurs had the next 6. This series was another example of OKC's incompetent front office. The Spurs went on to win the championship, beating the Heat in 5 games. So KD and Westbrook took the Spurs to 6 games, while LeBron, Wade, and Bosh couldn't. You're trying to tell me that KD isn't comparable to LeBron. That's blasphemy. Even though Wade was aging, the Heat still had a substantially better bench than the Thunder, and not to mention, Chris Bosh was still very good. 2015 was the emergence of Russell Westbrook. KD suffered a foot injury and only played 26 games. This was really unfortunate because Westbrook finally took another leap. The Thunder fell to the 9th seed, missing out on the playoffs. This shows how valuable KD is. Without KD, the Thunder went from the second best record in the league to missing the playoffs. That's with KD playing in 26 games. I'd argue the Thunder could have been a lottery team if KD missed the entire season. It's now 2016, and everyone is thinking, this is the year for the Thunder. Sure, the Warriors came out of the dust and won the championship last season, but they didn't have to face the Thunder. So it should be different this year, right? KD only played 72 games, and the Thunder snagged the 3rd seed in the West. The Warriors came off a record-breaking 73 wins, but Thunder fans didn't seem fazed. In round 1, the Thunder beat the Mavs in 5 games. Westbrook and Durant both averaged 26 points per game comfortably, and all was looking good. In the second round, the Thunders faced the Spurs, and KD turned it up. He averaged 28.5 points per game on 50% from the field. KD dropped 41 points in Game 4 and was looking very smooth and efficient. Despite LaMarcus Aldridge and Kawhi Leonard dominating, the Thunder were in full control of the series, closing it in 6 games. The Thunder advanced to the conference finals, where they faced the reigning champions, the Golden State Warriors. This is an all-time great playoff series, going to 7 games. In Game 1, the Thunder dominated. KD had 26 and 10, and Westbrook had 27 and 12. But Game 2 was entirely Westbrook's fault. KD had 29 points with 100% on free throws, 50% from 3, and 61% from the field. KD turned into an absolute beast, but Westbrook completely let him down. Westbrook finished 36% from the field and was minus 27 in box plus minus. KD's phenomenal percentages, when paired with Westbrook's horrible percentages, couldn't keep up with the Warriors' fantastic bench. This was a game that the Thunder could have taken over if Westbrook had have shown up. Luckily, the Thunder bounced back in Game 3. KD had 33 points and Westbrook had 30 in a blowout. Game 4, Westbrook and KD continued to dominate. KD had 26 points and 11 rebounds, and Westbrook had a 36-point triple-double. The game was another blowout, and the Thunder were looking better than ever. The Thunder had a commanding 3-1 lead in the series, and looked like they might close it in 5 games. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. KD dropped 40 points in Game 5, but the Thunder still lost. The reason, I can't really tell you. Westbrook did pretty good too, along with a couple decent bench performances. The Warriors didn't have any all-time great nights either. I rewatched most of this game and couldn't really see why the Thunder lost. I guess the Warriors just shot better percentages. In Game 6, the Warriors simply outperformed the Thunder. The entire Warriors roster was on fire, and even though KD played good, he couldn't make up for the rest of his team. Klay Thompson was 11 for 18 from 3, which is an all-time great 3-point performance. KD had 29 points on below average efficiency. Westbrook had 28 points, but was 0 for 5 from 3. The Thunder only lost by 7, and I attribute this game to Westbrook's inefficient shooting. If Westbrook had have given the ball to KD during those 5 attempts, chances are the Thunder would have won. Westbrook also had 5 turnovers, so overall, this game was lost because of Westbrook's lack of shooting and turnovers, and the Warriors shooting lights out. Game 7 was yet another disgrace. KD bounced back with 27 points on 43% from 3 and 53% from the field, but Westbrook only had 19 points on 33% from the field. I don't care that Curry had 36 points on great efficiency. The reason the Thunder lost Game 7 was because of Russell Westbrook and the inability of the Thunder's bench. Kevin Durant showed up whenever he needed to, but at the end of the day, Westbrook and the Thunder's bench was too inconsistent. As much as I love Brody, Westbrook was to blame for Game 2, 6, and 7 losses. Kevin Durant averaged 30 in this series and played great basketball, but his team let him down. Ironically, the Warriors ended up blowing a 3-1 lead of their own in the finals, but I am a strong believer that OKC would have won if they had advanced to the finals. In the finals, LeBron averaged less points per game than KD did against the Warriors. Therefore, you could potentially argue that KD was the best player in the league at the time. So KD left the Thunder in the dust during free agency. He left for the enemy team, Golden State Warriors. Seen as the weakest move in basketball history according to the public, but after looking into KD's stint with OKC, it's clear that KD deserved a new home. OKC couldn't build around KD properly, and at the end of the day, KD had to take his talent somewhere else. I do think if KD stayed in OKC, they probably would have won 2 championships, but it's not for certain. I still think KD joining the Warriors was a poor decision, but KD 100% deserved to leave OKC. So KD ended up winning 2 Finals MVPs and championships with the Golden State Warriors until they got annihilated by injuries in the 2019 Finals. KD put up ridiculous numbers on unfathomable efficiency, and to this day, I believe KD was the best player in the world during the 2018-19 season before the injuries. KD now resides in Brooklyn and has a chance to get a couple more championships to end his career. So where does KD rank on my all-time list? I would probably say number 12 behind Hakeem Olajuwon. The only reason I have Hakeem over KD at this point is because of Hakeem's 2 championships with the Rockets. Those 2 chips were substantially more significant than KD's. Kevin Durant is 6'10" with a 7'5" wingspan and can pull up from 35 feet at will. In my humble opinion, KD is the greatest pure scorer of all time. There are many great candidates, such as MJ, Kobe, T-Mac, Harden, AI, and many others, but KD brings stuff to the table on offense that none of these guys can do. If KD shoots the ball from outside 15 feet, you can't really block him without fouling. This is because KD is so tall and brings the ball way above his head when shooting. Nobody else in NBA history has been as efficient, aggressive, and unblockable as Kevin Durant. It seems like a weird concept, but seriously makes KD unguardable when he hits his shots. Even when he doesn't hit every shot, KD has an unbelievable handle for a guy over 6'10", and he can take the ball to the rack easily. KD has better handles than many NBA point guards. It's for this reason that I think he is the greatest scorer of all time. Pairing this with his borderline elite defense, KD definitely deserves a spot at 12 if he retired now. But by the end of his career, I think KD could wind up in the top 5, depending on how many more championships he wins. If KD wins no more championships and finishes out his career as is, I'd probably move KD to number 11 all time based on his scoring ability. Let's be honest, Hakeem wasn't anywhere close to as talented as KD. If KD wins one more championship and Finals MVP with Brooklyn, I'd move him up to 9th all time, ahead of Kobe. Kobe was a phenomenal player, and many of you guys will disagree with me on this, but here's my reasoning. Kobe was never comparable to LeBron James. Even though Kobe was an absolute menace, he was never in the same conversation as LeBron. On the other hand, KD was arguably better than LeBron at various points in his career, even at the age of 25. So if KD were to win a 3rd championship against LeBron, how could you deny his greatness? If KD were to win 2 chips, I'd move him up to 7th all time. If he were to win 3, which is very unlikely, I'd move KD to 5th all time. I know lots of you guys will be fuming about this, but seriously, KD is extremely underrated and deserves way more credit than he gets. Most people dismiss anything KD did before 2016 and therefore becomes completely biased on him. I don't even like KD at all. I think he has a horrible attitude and demeanor, but I even acknowledge his greatness. I always wonder why people regard LeBron as a consensus top 2 of all time, but never talk about KD in the top 10. These 2 guys were neck and neck throughout their careers, and y'all just dismiss KD from the conversation because he left OKC. You know what? That's all for today. I hope y'all have a great day. Make sure to subscribe for my YouTube channel and like this video. This is Smitty, signing off.